Wyatt Smith. He's the Chief Training Officer, not only for our personnel down here on the ground, but also our astronauts up in space. Now, Wyatt, we just heard from Ray. Members of this team, you guys have been training for this first orbital flight for years. So, first off, what are just some of the things that you've been in charge of trying to get the ground team ready for this very historic flight?
Um, we've been working for about 5 years on development of uh, all the training products and simulators that have gone into the training. So there's been a lot of effort by the simulator development team and obviously the instructors to develop all the products, the classroom lessons to get ready for this.
And so this is a first. So I'm assuming anytime it's a first, a lot of extra effort has to go in to preparing the team for something.
Yeah, there was a lot of effort that went into the development of all the products. I was involved very heavily in the development of the simulator interface that was used. The actual simulator is located in Dulles, Virginia, at the orbital facility, and we use our ISS simulation here and interface the two together, and that was a very lengthy effort that went into doing that. But we were on a pretty short time frame, so we had to do a lot of extra effort to get that working correctly. There was also other simulators that were developed that the more small simulators that the crew would use, and those were also developed in parallel. So a lot of simulator development effort, and obviously all the products that were used to train the crew and the ground personnel were built from scratch. We had a few things to use as sort of models from like HTV or other vehicles.
Other cargo craft. Yep.
Wasn't the first time that we've done things like this, but the vehicle is unique in its own way, and so we had to work pretty hard to get all that stuff complete.
Okay, and you talk a lot about simulators. Now, the entire team is just going through simulation after simulation of just everything that could possibly happen with this vehicle. Is that what's going on?
Well, there's a couple different aspects. The crew is only involved in the really later portions of the rendezvous, so they get trained on maybe the last couple hours or maybe even the last hour of the event, and it's really on that focus is really on their task that they have to perform at that time.
And what would the crew's task be in those final moments?
The crew is responsible, since this is a demo mission, the crew is responsible for watching the vehicle come up what's called the R bar, so from underneath ISS.
Okay.
They'll be monitoring the vehicle, make sure that it's on its correct trajectory toward the grapple point, and also they perform some demonstrated demo objectives that are where they pause the vehicle and make it go away using a command panel that they have. So they have to report to the ground how the vehicle's performing with a lot of visual aids that they have, and then they actually do the grapple with the arm. The ground personnel are watching from much further out. The orbital team, they obviously watch the whole entire rendezvous, and then there's a joint operations phase that occurs maybe for the last 4 hours of the flight, in which the team here is heavily involved in monitoring the vehicle and some demo things that happen. But during the simulations, we do all the nominal operations, we verify all the procedures are correct, and we also put in, I'm the evil guy, so our team gets to put in a lot of malfunctions and make sure that the ground team and the crew respond correctly to what the malfunctions are.
So you get to try and trip them up, have a little fun.
We try our hardest to trip them up. Yeah. We have to make sure they can do all the nominal procedures correctly, but we do try to put some things in there that are helping them learn and exercising flight rules that we have. So it's good to see the teams come together and perform well.
And you said in the last few hours is really a joint operation between NASA and Orbital. It's not just one or the other. What are some of the things you've learned or experienced in joint training with Orbital? I mean, has it been vastly different, say from training for an ATV or an HTV international partner, vastly different from training for SpaceX? Similar?
It's similar. I think the biggest thing that I saw was that Orbital had a certain way of operating. They've operated satellites for years in-house, but then you bring the NASA team in, and so there's a different element of information exchange that occurs in the nominal procedures. And I think that the first few simulations we did really brought out that that's going to be a little bit of a difficult choreography to pull all that together. So they worked real hard, and I think in the last few simulations we really saw it being very crisp and clean. So they kind of started off with what do we say and how do we do this, and it has evolved. There's also JAX is involved. So we had those guys in simulations because Orbital uses the proc system in the GEM to get radio communication with their vehicle when it's within range. So we had trilateral simulations with the JAXA guys, and that just added a third element of complexity to it. But
can't make things easy.
Well, it all worked out, and I think that everybody's prepared.
Okay, is now in the training flow for everything, is there any particular moment in this demo mission that has received special focus, required a lot of training, something maybe that hasn't been done yet, or because it is obviously a lot of it's all new because it's a new vehicle, but is there any part of the training flow that really you guys had to hone in on?
I think the last 2 hours of the rendezvous are probably what got the most focus. That's when the vehicle's getting closer and things are getting a little bit more fast-paced, and so I think that's where the crew gets really involved, and there's a lot of once the vehicle's within a couple hundred meters of station, you want to make sure everything goes good. So we certainly did that on most of the simulations. We also did some departure simulations, but those are a little more easy to do than the really close-in stuff.
And right before this, you had told me you guys have been preparing for this, for years. You and the team done a lot of hard work. You guys kind of excited to finally see it all come to fruition?
Yeah, we're very excited. There's been a lot of delays that have happened over the past couple of years because of various different things that have happened in the vehicle development, and it's hard to believe that it's finally here, and we're certainly very excited about it. This week, I think one thing that comes to mind is that we also do onboard training for the crew. So the crew has a small simulator on board, and we do various different briefings with the crew. And this started this past Monday, and it goes to the arrival date in a couple weeks. And it's real exciting to see that happen because that kind of shows you that it's real and it's actually going to happen. So we're excited to finally get that part of it going and have a success.
All right, and it is a very exciting time. Again, Wyatt Smith, he's our Chief Training Officer for our teams down here and for our astronauts getting ready for that first orbital demonstration mission to the International Space Station, launching on September 17th, grapple and docking on September 22nd. So Wyatt, thanks so much. Great job to you and the team. Really looking forward to watching a successful operation. I know it's in great hands, so we're really excited too.
Thank you.